The wind howled across the endless white landscape of Antarctica, carrying with it the sound of drilling equipment that had been working nonstop for 3 weeks. Dr. Elena Rodriguez pulled her thick jacket tighter as she walked toward the research site, her breath forming small clouds in the freezing air. She had been working at the remote Antarctic research station for 6 months now, studying ancient ice samples that held secrets from thousands of years ago. The drilling team had been searching for climate data trapped in the deep ice layers when something extraordinary happened. At exactly 2:47 in the afternoon, the drill hit something that shouldn't have been there. The team leader, an experienced worker named David, immediately stopped the operation and called for Dr. Rodriguez. "Doctor, you need to see this," David said over the radio, his voice filled with excitement and concern. "We found something big down there, about 200 feet below the surface. It's not rock, and it's definitely not ice." Lena hurried to the drilling site, her heart racing with curiosity. When she arrived, the entire team was gathered around the monitor that showed images from the drill's camera. What she saw made her stop breathing for a moment. Deep in the ice, perfectly preserved like a statue, was the outline of what looked like a person. But this wasn't just any person. The figure was tall, much taller than any human she had ever seen, with limbs that seemed longer and more graceful than normal. The head was shaped differently too, slightly larger and more elongated. Even through the grainy camera footage, Alina could tell this was something that had never been seen before. "How long has it been down there?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm, even though her mind was racing with possibilities. "Based on the ice layers, we estimate around 50,000 years, replied Dr. James, the team's ice specialist. "The preservation is incredible. Cold has kept everything exactly as it was when it got trapped." Lena stared at the screen, her scientific mind working through the implications. If this figure was really 50,000 years old, it predated modern human civilization by tens of thousands of years. But the shape, the size, the proportions, none of it matched what they knew about early humans or any other species from that time period. "We need to extract it," she said finally. "We have to be extremely careful. This could be the most important discovery in human history." The extraction process took 3 full days. The team worked around the clock, carefully melting the ice around the figure while maintaining the perfect temperature to preserve whatever was inside. Alina barely slept during those 3 days, too excited and nervous to rest. She kept thinking about all the questions this discovery might answer, and all the new questions it would certainly raise. When they finally brought the ice block containing the figure to the surface, Alina got her first clear look at what they had found. The figure was definitely female, with features that were both beautiful and alien at the same time. Her skin had a slight blue tint, and her hair was long and silver, frozen in waves around her face. She wore clothing made from materials that Alina didn't recognize, fabrics that seemed to shimmer even in the harsh Antarctic light. But what really caught Alina's attention were the unusual features that set this being apart from anything human. Her fingers were longer and more delicate, and there were small ridges along her arms that looked almost like gills. Most striking of all were the appendages that extended from her lower torso, long, graceful structures that looked almost like tentacles, but clearly served some biological purpose. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. James as he examined the figure. "Nothing like this has ever existed on Earth." Lena nodded, but deep inside, she was beginning to wonder if this being had actually originated on Earth at all. The more she looked at the figure, the more convinced she became that they were dealing with something truly extraordinary. They moved the ice block to the main research facility, where they had better equipment and a controlled environment. Alina assembled a team of the world's best scientists, calling in experts from various fields through secure communication channels. Everyone who saw the figure had the same reaction: amazement, disbelief, and excitement all rolled into one. The plan was to slowly thaw the ice while monitoring every possible biological function. They set up sensors to detect any signs of life, though after 50,000 years no one expected to find any. The thawing process would take several days, giving them time to study the figure's external features and prepare for what they might find inside. As the ice began to melt away, revealing more details of the mysterious figure, Alina noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. The being's chest was moving, almost imperceptibly, but definitely moving. She checked the monitors and couldn't believe what she was seeing. "David, come look at this," she called to her colleague. "Are these readings correct?" David examined the instruments, carefully checking and rechecking the data. "According to our equipment, there's definitely biological activity. Heart rate, brain activity, even cellular function. It's weak, but it's there." Alina stared at the figure in the melting ice, her mind struggling to process what this meant. Not only had they discovered what appeared to be an alien life form, but after 50,000 years frozen in Antarctic ice, she was still alive. The discovery was about to change everything they thought they knew about life, about Earth, and about humanity's place in the universe. Alina knew that when this being finally opened her eyes, nothing would ever be the same again. As night fell over the research station, Alina stood guard over the slowly thawing figure, wondering what incredible secrets she would share when she finally awakened. The tentacle-like appendages were becoming more visible as the ice melted, and Alina could see they were covered in what looked like neural pathways, suggesting they served some kind of sensory or communication function. Whatever this being was, wherever she came from, Alina was determined to treat her with the respect and care she deserved. This wasn't just a scientific specimen, this was a living, breathing individual who had survived impossible odds and was about to wake up in a world completely different from the one she had known. The real adventure was just beginning. 3 days had passed since the ice had completely melted away, and Dr. Alina Rodriguez hadn't left the observation room for more than a few minutes at a time. She sat in her chair, watching the monitors that tracked every heartbeat, every breath, every tiny movement of the mysterious being they had discovered. The alien female lay on the specially designed medical bed, her silver hair spread across the pillow like moonlight. Alina had been a scientist for over 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. She had studied countless specimens, analyzed thousands of samples, but never had she watched a living being from another world slowly return to consciousness after sleeping for 50,000 years. The tentacle-like appendages that extended from the being's lower torso had been the subject of intense study over the past 3 days. Dr. Peter Kim, the team's neural specialist, had discovered that these structures weren't just physical appendages. They were filled with what appeared to be nerve endings and neural pathways. Under the microscope, they looked like living computers, designed to process and transmit information. "Alina, you need to see this," called Dr. Lisa Chen from across the room. She was monitoring the brain activity sensors, and her voice carried a note of excitement that made Alina's heart race. Alina hurried over to the control panel where Lisa was working. The screen showed brainwave patterns that were unlike anything in medical textbooks. The patterns were complex, organized, and showed signs of what could only be described as active dreaming. "She's been showing increased activity for the past hour," Lisa explained, pointing to the wavy lines on the screen. "It's like she's preparing to wake up. But look at this. The neural activity isn't just in her brain, it's also coming from those appendages." Alina studied the readings with growing amazement. The tentacle-like structures were generating their own electrical patterns, almost like they had their own consciousness. It was as if this being had multiple brains working together as one unified system. Suddenly, the monitors began beeping. Faster, heart rate increased, breathing became deeper, and the neural activity spiked dramatically. Alina rushed back to the bedside just as the alien's eyes began to flutter open. For a moment, Alina forgot how to breathe. The being's eyes were unlike anything she had ever seen, large and luminous, with a color that seemed to shift between blue and violet. They were beautiful, but also clearly intelligent, filled with awareness and curiosity. The alien female slowly turned her head toward Alina, and their eyes met. Alina felt a strange tingling sensation in her mind, like someone was gently knocking on the door of her thoughts. It wasn't painful or frightening. It was actually quite pleasant, like a warm breeze flowing through her consciousness. "Hello," Alina said softly, not sure if the being would understand English, but feeling the need to communicate somehow. "My name is Alina. You're safe." The alien's eyes widened slightly, and Alina felt that tingling sensation again, stronger this time. Suddenly, images began forming in her mind, not her own thoughts, but pictures being shared by the being on the bed. She saw glimpses of a world with purple skies and silver trees, cities that floated in the air, and beings similar to this one living in harmony with their environment. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Kim, who had been watching the neural monitors. "She's communicating telepathically. The appendages are acting like transmission devices, sending thoughts directly to Elena's brain." Elena felt a word forming in her mind, not in English, but somehow she understood its meaning. The being was telling her that her name was Zara, and that she came from a place very far away among the stars. Over the next several hours, Elena and her team worked carefully to establish better communication with Zara. They discovered that while Zara couldn't speak English, she could learn by touching Elena's thoughts and memories. The tentacle-like appendages were incredibly sensitive, able to pick up electrical signals from nearby brains and translate them into understanding. Zara was fascinated by everything around her. She studied the medical equipment with curious eyes, gently touched the materials of her blanket, and seemed amazed by the electric lights in the room. Through the mental connection, Elena could feel Zara's wonder and confusion at finding herself in such a different world. The most remarkable discovery came when Dr. Kim asked Elena to try to learn about Zara's species. Through the telepathic link, Zara began sharing information about her people, called the Nethys. Elena learned that they came from a star system, very far from Earth, and that their tentacle-like appendages were not just for communication, but also played a crucial role in how their species created families. Unlike humans, the Nethys didn't reproduce in the traditional sense. Instead, when Nethys decided to create offspring, they would use their neural appendages to share memories, emotions, and experiences. This process would create a new consciousness that carried the combined wisdom and knowledge of both parents. "It's like they create children made of shared thoughts and experiences," Elena explained to her team during a break. "The appendages can connect to minds so completely that they become one, and from that unity, new life is born." Dr. Chen shook her head in amazement. "That's the most beautiful concept of reproduction I've ever heard. Instead of just sharing genetic material, they share their entire consciousness." But as Elena learned more about Zara's species, she also discovered something heartbreaking. Zara had been part of an exploration team that had crash-landed on Earth tens of thousands of years ago. One by one, her teammates had died in the harsh prehistoric environment. Zara had used her species' ability to enter a deep hibernation state, hoping that rescue would come. She had been waiting for 50,000 years for a rescue that never arrived. Lena felt tears forming in her eyes as she experienced Zara's loneliness and loss through their mental connection. All this time, Zara had been alone, cut off from the neural connections that were essential to her species' well-being. For the Nethys, being isolated from others wasn't just lonely, it was like being cut off from half of their own mind. "We need to help her," Elena said to her team. "She's not just a scientific specimen. She's a person who has been suffering for thousands of years." As the day continued, Elena spent more time connected with Zara, learning about her world and sharing information about Earth and human civilization. Zara was amazed by human technology, but also saddened by the wars and conflicts that had shaped human history. Her people had learned long ago that cooperation and shared consciousness led to peace and prosperity. By evening, Elena had made a decision that would change everything. She looked at Zara, who was now sitting up in bed and moving her appendages with graceful, flowing motions, and realized that this wasn't just about scientific discovery anymore. This was about helping a lost soul find her way home, and maybe, just maybe, learning something that could help humanity become better than it had ever been before. The real journey was just beginning, and Elena knew that whatever happened next would change not just her life, but the future of both species forever. 2 weeks after Zara's awakening, the small Antarctic research station had transformed into the most important scientific facility on Earth. Dr. Elena Saruda Rodriguez watched from her office window as helicopters landed throughout the day, bringing the world's most brilliant scientists to study the remarkable being they had discovered. The news of Zara's existence had spread through classified government channels, and now experts from every field imaginable were arriving. There was Dr. Robert Zhang, a specialist in alien biology from Tokyo University. Dr. Maria Santos had flown in from Brazil, bringing her expertise in neural networks and consciousness studies. Even Dr. Ahmed Hassan, the famous evolutionary biologist from Cairo, had made the long journey to Antarctica. Alina felt both excited and worried about all the attention. While she wanted to learn everything possible about Zara and her species, she also felt protective of the alien woman who had become something like a friend over the past 2 weeks. "Alina, you need to see what we've discovered," called Dr. Zhang from the main laboratory. His voice carried the excitement that had become common among the research team as they made one breakthrough after another. Alina hurried to the lab, where she found the entire team gathered around a large monitor displaying detailed scans of Zara's neural appendages. The images were incredible, showing a network of nerve pathways more complex than anything found in human biology. "These structures are amazing," Dr. Santos explained, pointing to the screen. "They're not just reproductive organs. They're like biological computers designed to process and share information between individuals. When two of Zara's species connect, through these appendages, they literally share their thoughts, memories, and experiences." Dr. Hassan nodded enthusiastically. "From an evolutionary perspective, it's brilliant. Instead of just passing on genes, they pass on knowledge, wisdom, and emotional understanding. Each generation becomes smarter and more capable than the last because they inherit not just physical traits, but actual experiences." Alina watched Zara through the observation window. The alien woman was sitting peacefully in her room, her appendages moving gently as she practiced what she called memory weaving, a meditation technique her people used to organize their thoughts and experiences. "Have you been able to learn more about how their reproduction actually works?" Alina asked. Dr. Santos pulled up another set of images. "It's fascinating. When tenethys decide to create offspring, they use these appendages to form a neural bridge. During this connection, they share everything: their memories, emotions, knowledge, even their dreams. From this complete union of consciousness, a new mind is created that carries the combined wisdom of both parents." "But here's the most incredible part," added Dr. Zhang. "The offspring doesn't just inherit random traits. The consciousness sharing process allows the parents to actively choose which memories, skills, and knowledge to pass on. They literally design their children's minds." Alina felt a chill run down her spine. "That's both wonderful and terrifying. Imagine if humans could do that, if we could pass on not just our genes, but our actual experiences and knowledge. It would change everything," Dr. Hassan agreed. "War, poverty, ignorance, all of these problems exist partly because each generation has to learn the same lessons over and over. But if we could share consciousness like the Nethys do, we could build on each other's knowledge and wisdom." The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Colonel David Thompson, stern-faced military officer who had been sent by the government to oversee the research. Alina had been dreading this moment. She knew the military would be interested in Zara's abilities, but for all the wrong reasons. "Dr. Rodriguez, I need to speak with you privately," the colonel said, his tone leaving no room for argument. Alina followed him to a separate room, where the colonel wasted no time getting to the point. "The government is very interested in the potential applications of this alien's neural technology. We want to know if it's possible to replicate these abilities in humans. Colonel Zara is not a weapon," Alina said firmly. "She's a sentient being who has been incredibly cooperative with our research. We're learning about her species' biology, not developing military applications." The colonel's expression hardened. "Dr. Rodriguez, imagine if our soldiers could share tactical information instantly through neural links, or if our intelligence agents could download information directly from enemy minds. The strategic advantages would be enormous." Alina felt her heart sink. This was exactly what she had been afraid of, that people would see Zara as a tool to be exploited rather than a person to be respected. "I won't allow it," Alina said. "Zara has rights, and she's not here to be used as a weapon. You may not have a choice in the matter," the colonel replied coldly. "This research is now classified at the highest levels. The alien will be moved to a more secure facility where proper studies can be conducted." That evening, Alina sat with Zara in her room, trying to explain the situation through their mental connection. Zara's appendages glowed softly as she processed the information, and Alina could feel the alien's sadness and fear. Your people want to use my abilities for fighting. Zara's thoughts whispered in Elena's mind. But the neural connection is meant for creation, not destruction. It becomes corrupted. Alina felt Zara's deep concern for what might happen if humans tried to replicate the Nethies' abilities without understanding their true purpose. Through their connection, she experienced flashes of Zara's memories, images of her homeworld, where the consciousness-sharing ability had led to thousands of years of peace and prosperity. My people learned long ago that the neural connection only works when there is love, trust, and mutual respect. Zara continued. If someone tries to force the connection or use it for selfish purposes, it causes terrible pain and can damage the mind permanently. Over the following days, Alina worked frantically to document everything she had learned about Zara's species. She wanted to ensure that if the military did take over the research, there would be a record of the true purpose and nature of the Nethies' abilities. But as she worked, Alina began to realize something that changed everything. During their many conversations, she had noticed that Zara's appendages had been showing increased activity. At first, she thought it was just the alien's way of processing stress. But the patterns were becoming more complex and organized, Dr. Santos confirmed. Elena's suspicions when she brought the latest neural scans to Elena's office. Elena, I think you need to see this. Zara's appendages are showing signs of what looks like cellular division and neural development. Alina studied the images with growing amazement. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I believe Zara's body is preparing to reproduce, Dr. Santos said quietly. But that should be impossible. She doesn't have a partner from her species. Alina felt a mixture of excitement and worry. If Zara was somehow preparing to create offspring, it would be the most significant biological event in human history. But it also meant that the government and military would be even more interested in controlling her. As night fell over the research station, Alina made a decision that would change everything. She couldn't let Zara become a prisoner or a weapon. The alien woman had shared her most precious secrets with humanity, and she deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. Alina began planning something that would either save Zara's life or end her own career forever. But as she felt Zara's gentle presence in her mind, she knew she had no choice. Some things were more important than careers or governments, and protecting a friend was one of them. The real test of humanity's character was about to begin. Dr. Alina Rodriguez knew she was running out of time. Colonel Thompson had made it clear that Zara would be transferred to a military facility within the next 48 hours. And Alina couldn't let that happen. She had spent the last 3 weeks getting to know Zara, and she understood that the alien woman wasn't just a scientific specimen. She was a person with feelings, memories, and dreams. It was late at night when Alina made her decision. The research station was quiet, with only a few security guards making their rounds. Alina slipped into Zara's room, where she found the alien woman sitting by the window, looking out at the Antarctic landscape with sad eyes. "You're worried?" Zara's voice whispered in Elena's mind as their mental connection activated. "I can feel your fear." Elena sat down beside her friend, feeling the familiar warmth of their telepathic link. "Zara, I need to understand something. I've been showing signs of biological changes. Are you really preparing to reproduce?" Zara's appendages glowed softly in the dim light, and Alina felt a wave of deep sadness flowing through their connection. My people have a saying, when the heart breaks, the mind seeks to heal by creating. I have been alone for so long, Alina. 50,000 years without the neural connections that make us whole. Through their mental link, Alina began to experience Zara's memories more vividly than ever before. She saw flashes of Zara's homeworld, a beautiful planet with floating cities and crystalline towers that reached toward purple skies. She felt the joy of the Nethies people as they shared their consciousness with each other, creating a society built on understanding and cooperation. "Show me more," Alina whispered, reaching out to gently touch one of Zara's appendages. The moment their skin made contact, Elena's world exploded into a kaleidoscope of alien memories. She experienced what it was like to be connected to dozens of other minds simultaneously. feeling their thoughts, emotions, and experiences as if they were her own. It was overwhelming at first, but gradually she began to understand the incredible beauty of the Nethi's way of life. "We don't just reproduce," Zara's thoughts explained as Alina witnessed the process of Nethi's creation. "We weave new consciousness from the threads of our own experiences. When Tenethis decide to create offspring, they spend months sharing every memory, every emotion, every moment of learning they've ever had. From this complete unity, a new mind is born that carries the wisdom of both parents." Alina watched in amazement as Zara's memories showed her the birth of a Nethi's child, not a physical birth, but the emergence of a new consciousness that was both unique and connected to its parents. The child inherited not just genetic traits, but actual knowledge, skills, and emotional understanding. "But I am alone," Zara continued, her mental voice filled with centuries of loneliness. "Without a partner from my species, I cannot create life in the traditional way. Yet my body refuses to accept this. It is trying to create something from just my own consciousness." Alina felt tears streaming down her face as she experienced the depth of Zara's isolation. For 50,000 years, Zara had been cut off from the neural connections that were essential to her species' survival. It was like being forced to live with half of her mind missing. "What would happen if you tried to reproduce alone?" Alina asked. Zara's appendages dimmed slightly. "It has never been done before. Ada. The neural connection requires two minds to create the necessary harmony. Alone, I might create something, but it would be incomplete. A consciousness born from loneliness rather than love." Alina made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "What if you didn't have to be alone? What if I could help you?" Zara's eyes widened with surprise. "Alina, you don't understand. The neural connection is not just about sharing thoughts. It requires complete trust, complete openness. I would have to share everything with you, every memory, every emotion, every secret of my species." "I'm not afraid," Alina said, though her heart was racing. "You've been alone for 50,000 years. No one should have to endure that kind of isolation." Over the next several hours, Alina and Zara prepared for something that had never been attempted before: a neural connection between a human and a Nethys. Zara explained that the process would be dangerous for Alina, as human minds weren't designed to handle the intensity of Nethys consciousness sharing. "Your brain might not be able to process the connection," Zara warned. "The neural pathways could become damaged, or you might lose yourself completely in my memories." Alina squeezed Zara's hand. "Some risks are worth taking. Besides, maybe this is exactly what both our species need to learn, that connection and understanding can bridge any gap." They began the process slowly, with Zara's appendages gently touching Alina's temples. At first, Alina felt only a slight tingling sensation, but gradually the connection deepened. She began to experience Zara's memories as if they were her own. Childhood on a distant planet, the joy of first neural connections, the devastating crash that stranded her on Earth, but the connection went both ways. Zara was also experiencing Alina's memories, her childhood, her education, her dreams of scientific discovery, and her growing friendship with Zara. The alien woman was amazed by human resilience and the ability to find hope even in difficult circumstances. "Your species is remarkable," Zara's thoughts whispered. "You face challenges alone, without the support of shared consciousness, yet you continue to grow and learn. There is a strength in your independence that my people have never developed." As the connection deepened, Alina began to understand the true nature of consciousness itself. She experienced what it was like to be part of a collective mind, while still maintaining individual identity. It was like being a single note in a beautiful symphony, distinct and important, but also part of something greater. The process took most of the night. By dawn, both women were exhausted but transformed. Alina had experienced 50,000 years of alien memories, while Zara had learned about human civilization, science, and the incredible journey that had led to their meeting. "I understand now," Alina said, as the connection gradually faded. "Your species doesn't just reproduce, you create new minds that carry the best of both parents. It's like genetic evolution, but for consciousness itself." Zara nodded, her appendages now glowing with a warm, steady light. And I understand your species' greatest strength, the ability to form connections across any barrier, even between worlds. You have shown me that loneliness is not permanent, that friendship can exist between any two beings who choose to trust each other. As the sun rose over the Antarctic landscape, Alina realized that something miraculous had happened during their connection. Zara's appendages were showing new patterns of activity, and Alina could feel a new presence at the edge of their mental link. Something small and curious, like a child just beginning to explore the world. Did we create something? Alina asked. In wonder, Zara smiled. And for the first time since Alina had known her, the alien woman looked truly happy. We created possibility, she said. A new kind of consciousness that carries both human determination and Nethi's wisdom. Not my child or your child, but our child, the first being in the universe to inherit the best of both worlds, Alina felt. A mixture of joy and responsibility wash over her. Whatever they had created during their connection, it would need both of them to grow and develop properly. But she also knew that Colonel Thompson would be arriving soon, and that their time together was running out. The real challenge was just beginning. Protecting this new life and finding a way to show humanity that cooperation was always better than conquest. The sound of helicopters filled the morning air as Dr. Alina Rodriguez watched through the window of the research station. Colonel Thompson had arrived with a full military escort ready to take Zara to a secure government facility. Elena's heart pounded as she realized that everything she and Zara had worked for was about to be destroyed. Alina, they're coming, Dr. Lisa Chen whispered urgently as she burst into the room. The colonel has orders to transfer Zara immediately. There, not even giving us time to complete our research. Alina looked at Zara, who was sitting calmly on her bed despite the chaos around them. The alien woman's appendages were glowing with a soft, steady light that Alina had learned meant she was in deep thought. Since their neural connection the night before, Zara seemed different, more peaceful, but also more determined. What are we going to do? Dr. Peter Kim asked as he joined them. We can't let them take her. Alina made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. We're going to fight back, but not with force, with the truth. She turned to her computer and began typing furiously, uploading all their research data to a secure server that would automatically send copies to universities and research institutions around the world. If the government wanted to hide Zara's existence, Alina would make sure the entire scientific community knew what they had discovered. Alina, what are you doing? Dr. Chen asked nervously. I'm making sure that no matter what happens to us, the world will know about Zara and her people, Alina replied. This discovery belongs to all humanity, not just the military. Colonel Thompson entered the room with 6 armed soldiers, his face stern and businesslike. Dr. Rodriguez, step away from the alien. She's being transferred to a more secure facility. For proper study, Alina stood between the soldiers and Zara, her heart racing but her voice steady. Colonel, I can't let you do this. Zara is not a prisoner or a weapon. She's a sentient being with rights, and she's been cooperating with our research willingly. The alien is government property now, the colonel replied coldly. Move aside, or you'll be charged with obstructing national security. And that's when something extraordinary happened. Zara stood up slowly, her appendages beginning to glow brighter than Alina had ever seen them. The alien woman's eyes took on an otherworldly shine as she spoke, not with her voice, but directly into the minds of everyone in the room. I am not property. Zara's thoughts resonated in their heads. I am Zara of the Nethys, daughter of 2 worlds, keeper of 50,000 years of memory, and I have something to show you. Without warning, Zara extended her appendages toward everyone in the room. Alina felt the familiar tingling of their mental connection, but this time it was different, stronger, more focused. Suddenly, the entire room was filled with shared consciousness as Zara connected all their minds together. The soldiers dropped their weapons in amazement as they experienced what Alina had felt the night before, the beauty and wonder of Nethi's civilization. They saw through Zara's memories what it was like to live in a society built on understanding and cooperation rather than fear and conflict. Colonel Thompson staggered backward as images flooded his mind, visions of the Nethi's homeworld, where wars had ended thousands of years ago because the people had learned to share their thoughts and feelings with each other. He experienced the pain of Zara's 50,000 years of loneliness, and the joy she had felt when Alina had offered her friendship. "This is impossible," the colonel whispered, but Alina could feel through their connection that his resistance was crumbling. He was seeing Zara not as an alien threat, but as a person who had survived unimaginable hardship with grace and hope. "Your species has a choice," Zara's thoughts continued. "You can use what you've learned from me to create weapons and control others. Or you can use it to build bridges and heal the divisions that separate you. I have seen your history through Elena's memories. You have the potential for greatness, but only if you choose cooperation over conquest." Dr. Chen gasped as she felt something new in the mental connection, a small, curious presence that seemed to be exploring their shared thoughts with childlike wonder. "What is that?" she asked. Alina smiled, feeling tears of joy streaming down her face. "That's the new consciousness that Zara and I created together. A being that carries both human and Nethi's traits, designed to be a bridge between our species." The young consciousness spoke for the first time, its voice like gentle music in their minds. "I am both and neither. I am human courage and Nethia's wisdom. I am the first of a new kind of being, created not from division, but from unity." Colonel Thompson slowly removed his sidearm and placed it on the table, his hands shaking. Through the connection, Alina could feel his inner struggle as decades of military training warred with the profound experience of shared consciousness. "How do I know this isn't some kind of alien mind control?" he asked. "Because," Alina said gently, "you can still choose to reject it. Free will is the foundation of both human and Nethi society. Zara isn't controlling your thoughts. She's sharing her experiences and letting you decide what to do with them." Over the next hour, something miraculous happened. As the mental connection continued, the soldiers and the colonel began to understand what Alina and her team had discovered. This wasn't about alien invasion or military advantage. It was about the next step in the evolution of consciousness. Itself, Dr. Zhang, who had arrived just as the connection began, was documenting everything on his equipment. "This is incredible," he said. "The neural patterns show that all our brains are synchronizing. We're thinking as individuals, but also as a collective. It's like having access to multiple perspectives simultaneously while maintaining our own identity." The young consciousness that Alina and Zara had created began to grow stronger as it fed on the shared experiences of everyone in the room. Alina could feel its curiosity and wonder as it learned about both human and Nethi's cultures through their combined memories. "This child will need teachers from both species," Zara explained. "It cannot grow properly without understanding both human independence and Nethi's cooperation." Colonel Thompson looked around the room at the faces of the scientists and soldiers, all of whom were experiencing the same profound connection. "What are you asking of us?" he said finally. Alina stepped forward, feeling the support of everyone in the room through their shared consciousness. "We're asking you to help us establish the first center for interspecies cooperation, a place where humans and Nethi's wisdom can be shared safely and ethically. It's not as a weapon, but as a gift to help humanity grow and evolve." The colonel was quiet for a long moment, processing everything he had experienced. Finally, he spoke. "This goes against everything I've been trained to do, but I can't ignore what I've seen and felt here today." He picked up his radio and made a call that would change everything. "Command, this is Thompson, recommending that the alien subject be granted protected status under international law. We need diplomats here, not soldiers." As the sun set over the Antarctic landscape, Alina stood with Zara, looking out at the vast expanse of ice and snow. The young consciousness they had created was growing stronger each day, learning from both human and Nethi's experiences as it prepared to take its place as the first citizen of two worlds. "What happens now?" Alina asked. Zara's appendages glowed softly in the evening light. "Now we build bridges," she said, "between your world and mine, between fear and understanding, between what humanity is and what it could become." Alina smiled, feeling the gentle presence of their created child in her mind, full of possibilities and hope for the future. The discovery in the Antarctic ice had changed everything, proving that the universe was far more connected than anyone had ever imagined. The age of isolation was ending, and the age of unity was about to begin.